Hey everyone, I'm going to try and make this video fast. This is going to be part 1 of the RE module. The RE module is very big, so I'm not going to be able to get the entire module done in this video. I already know that, but even just the basics could take like half an hour. That's why I'm going to try and make this as fast as possible. Alright, so the RE module stands for Regular Expressions module. Regular expressions are basically patterns that you can find in strings. The main use for the RE module would be to basically reconstruct grammar in sentences. So if someone said, if you had like a game and it said you had an if statement in there that said if they reply open door then do this, but instead of open door they typed in open the door, your program would crash unless you had an elif statement for that as well, which would just take forever to specify all of those, and you don't want to do that. Anyways, so that's where the RE module could come in handy. It basically helps you understand what people are saying, or at least the way that I see it being used the most for. It could also be used for parsing data, but yeah. Anyways, import RE will import the RE module, just like any other module. Now, we're going to make a string here to test these things on, and we're just going to say dogs are smarter than cats. Now, after that, we'll make an object called match equals re.match. The match function will just scan a string and make sure that it has that specific pattern. So even if one character is off in the pattern, it will return false. It'll say, no, that pattern's not in the string. So what we want to do is put opening parentheses dot star, closing parentheses space, parentheses r, vertical bar is, ending parentheses space, parentheses dot star, ending parentheses space, than space, parentheses dot star, ending parentheses, and that's the end of our pattern. Then we'll just say string here, and we'll close off the function. We'll go over flags in another video, and those can help specify other things for the pattern, but yeah, again, we'll go over that in another video because that works for all these functions, and I'm only going to be showing you this function in this video. Anyways, so here's basically what's going on. The parentheses make a group out of it, so like a chunk of the sentence. It's saying in this chunk of the sentence there could be anything. In this chunk of the sentence it has to be are or is. Now, here's what all these characters mean. Besides the parentheses, the dot says it can be any character at all as long as it's not a new line character. So as long as it's not a backslash, and we're fine. There's nothing to complain about here. But if you want it to also take backslash ends, you put a backslash in front of that and use a special case character, but we'll get into those later as well. The star says that it can be any amount of that. It could be 0 or it could be infinity. It just can't be negative, which is impossible anyways. Now this part says it has to be the word are or it has to be the word is, and that will be the verb for the sentence, and we're using are. But the vertical bar is the one that says it's or. It has to be one of these two, and that's how that one works. These next ones all work the same. Than is not in a group, so it's kind of forced. You must have that word in your sentence. And the string over here just says we want to look for the pattern in here, which, if we want to test it, we say if match print hello, and we should get hello because the pattern is found in there. Now if we were to take something out like than, or if we were to choose does instead of are or is, even though that wouldn't make sense in English, it would also return false, and this statement up here would not work. Now there's also a couple other characters. The caret, the question mark, the dollar sign, the parentheses, the curly braces, the brackets, and I think that's it. Oh, and the plus. Now here is basically what they do. The plus does the same thing as the asterisk, so I'm not going to go over this one, but the only difference is that it says it has to be at least one or more, so it does have to exist. It can be one or more of that. It could be 1 to infinity. It just has to exist. That's the only difference. The rest of these we will go over. We already went over the parentheses, so we will not go over those again. And yeah, so we'll start with the caret and the $sign, which are pretty simple to go over. Now, we'll make a string which will be equal to A and B. And here is basically what the caret does. It matches the beginning of a line. That's it. It just checks to see if that's what the beginning of the line looks like. So we would do match is equal to re.match. Then the pattern, we would just say caret A B. And if we check that against the string and said if match print H, we get H because that works. Now if we were to do match equals re.match caret B caret A and check that against the string, it won't work. And the reason for that is because even though we're saying we want A at the beginning, it's saying you want B and then A at the beginning, which won't make sense. It just doesn't really compute right. They're just like, no, you can't say you want something before the beginning, because that's like saying if you pass the person in first, if you pass the person who's in last in a race, it's impossible. You can't pass who's in last, because if you're last, you can't pass yourself. It's impossible. And it's basically saying the same thing here, which is why it doesn't print H, it's false. The next character, our $sign, right here, is the opposite of the caret. So match equals re.match. Instead of saying caret A, we're going to say A space B $sign, which just says $sign at the end. Also, one thing to note is that the caret has to go in the beginning of the character. It says this is what the beginning is, so it goes in the beginning of the pattern. The $sign says this goes in the end, so it goes at the end of the pattern. Then we do comma string to cross-reference it. If match print H, and we get H. Also, the same thing will not work if we put B $sign in front of A. We'll get the same results, false, because of the same reasons up here. One thing I'm going to say though is that match, remember, it has to be exactly that pattern. It's not searching for that pattern is somewhere in the string. It's saying that the string is that pattern. It's like saying, okay, you can have anything here, and then you can have are or is here. If you have anything here, and then you have does over here, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. That's not how the pattern is structured. And that was the example up here. Anything, then are is. If we were to put does here, even though we put anything here, it won't work. Alright, so here is the last one of the more difficult ones, and that is the question mark. The question mark, in the articles that I've read about it, says matches 0 or 1 occurrences of the preceding expression. So it just checks to see if there's at least one of the of that expression. So if we were to make a string equal to A B, and then we said match is equal to re.match, and then AB question mark string if match print H, it works because that was repeated one time. Although if it's not repeated at all, it also will return true. So you have to make it so it's like there twice, basically, for it to return false. And that's like one of the more tricky ones to understand. Now all we have left is the brackets and the curly braces And these ones are kind of simple. So basically, the brackets is like a bunch of vertical bars. Remember how the vertical bar means if, or not if, it means or. Well, the brackets mean that anything inside of it is or against itself. So like A, comma B, comma C, comma D would say match A or B or C or D. Match one of them. And if it comes up with a match, it works. So we'll do that. String equals, and then we'll say A, B, C. Just like that. RE dot match. Then we go in here and we just say in the brackets A, B, C. My bad. We just want spaces. Oops, there we go. And then we'll do a comma. And then string. Ah, man, I didn't make it a variable. But anyways, this, trust me, it means true that this was in there. So yeah, trust me on that one. We'll just, yeah, I'll show you a false one now. Match is equal to re.match, and we'll say D F. There we go. And string. Now after this, I'll show you one more thing that's kind of different about the brackets. But yeah, anyways, false because D or F were not in there. Only A, B, and C were. So yeah, one thing special about the brackets is if you put in a caret, so like bracket, caret, bracket, and then you did like A, B, C, something like that, it would look at it and say, okay, well, we're going to search for all these for each one of these single characters and try and match it that's not in the beginning. So it can't be in the first word, basically, or at the beginning of that. Anything else would work fine. Now, the curly braces, which is the last thing here, yes, because this video, I'm not sure how long this has been recording for, but it's probably too long for YouTube, so I'm sorry, guys. But trust me, this module is awesome. You guys should experiment with what I've already shown you, because you can do a lot with it. So, here we go. The curly braces. Let's have a string. String equals. Then we'll say A. Now, if we were to go in here and say match is equal to re.match, and then for the pattern we said A curly braces N, or not N, my bad, and then we said 4. Let me change that to a string, like, and compare that to the string, and we say if match, print H, we get H. And basically, hopefully you notice this, the curly braces say, okay, we want to check for this character this many times. This regular we want to check for this regular expression this many times. And there you go. It was in there 4 times. We could also say match is equal to re.match, and then A curly braces 2 comma curly braces, and then check that against the string. And that would work as well, because it says 2 or forward. Now if you were to do like 5 or something, we wouldn't get a match. Another thing we could do, though, is specify, like, even though saying check for it 5 times wouldn't work, we could say 2 to 5 times. And that would work. And just to show you guys before we leave, oops, that returns false. So there you guys have it. That is all of the characters. Like I said, the backslash will be used in some other ones later on, as well as the flags we'll go over later. But yeah, that is pretty much everything for the basics. There's also another function similar to match that I'll tell you guys about later. It will explain about it later, and that is re.search. It's similar to match as it searches through the entire string, but it doesn't make it have to specify with that pattern. It just checks to see if that pattern appears anywhere at all, and if it does, it returns true. And yeah, so thank you guys for watching. In my next video, I'll probably go over re.search and some stuff like that. I hope that there is no problems with what I showed you in here. If you guys have any questions or comments or suggestions or anything like that about this video, what you want to see, leave those in the comment section below or PM me. Subscribe for more videos and like this video if you liked it. I'm sorry that this was so long, but it's a really big module, and I think the other ones will be shorter after this. This was just the basics that you need to know to continue. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll be seeing you later.